So excited to explore the following. 3D mapping. 3D mapping is a tool from Theory U where you build a prototype, a model that you get to explore what needs to change and where you're going out on the edge to also get a sense of the voices that haven't been heard in the system and that are impacted the most. And if it is something dear to you, there are blind spots. So you might not even be aware of those voices, which will be extremely exciting to explore and see how we can bring certain things into consciousness. And you know what? It's an experimentation. So no pressure, nothing to get right, nothing to get wrong, but to go on this journey and have devotion in doing it. Let me share the presentation if I can. So around this leadership game and the 3D mapping, it is a new way to move forward. And it is, as we see this brain of being able to rewire our brain and access parts of the brain that we haven't. And to do that, there's a part of the brain that likes to be more reactive, pattern based, do things as it's known to do things, automated, because it doesn't take so much energy. And then new paths are neurons that fire together, wire together. That's how a new idea, aha, happens. And that's really inspirational. But the neuropaths haven't been created. So the highway is missing. And that needs a lot of devotion to continue firing and wiring these together. And this is an invitation to take your life purpose and to explore it in form of a leadership game. And the leadership game is something that you do with your life purpose, that you focus on, that you work with others, that is important to your world, that is meaningful, where you are leading a group of people. And the importance is that you just get a sense, and you can be co-leading a group of people and managing a hot team to do a game together. What we're starting out is 3D questing or 3D gaming. And gaming is about experimentation and moving us forward. So you'll learn to sense and see what needs to change through this initiative, this game. And by using that model, you're going to have inquiries. So you don't know. Ideally, you don't know. And so it's an exciting journey where we're embarking on our inner world of not knowing and then sharing it with the outer world and getting data to inform us here. And what I love is this going to the edge of the model. So going to that space that isn't seen and that's not known to get more observation and insight. And the objectives that we have are different ways, but what will really support you is it is a new way of perceiving blockages. So you might be blocked through certain things, needs and opportunities in this. It will provide you a map of the barriers that you're confronting, and that will help you and your quest and game to stay on track. And also the driving forces that are trying to change. And we will gather back together for core questions and insights to relate to each one of these insights. And this co-sensing experience will also establish a thing of being switched on to find profound opportunities. And it feels magical because we're tapping into the emerging future. And it is that flow state where we're able to pick up things that we are not if we're very unconscious. What's needed is to also have a view on stakeholders. So basically anyone who could potentially be involved in this game. This is a way of doing it in your team, but we won't go into further details on that. And the invitation now is that you journal and focus on what your intention is. So you already have your life purpose. And from that life purpose, you are going to define and design a game. And the way to go about it is maybe you already have an idea, so you can just note that down. If you do not have an idea, my recommendation is to grab a piece of paper. And if you're like me, it might come from the printer. That was the. And what we'll do is around quest or game, whatever way you would like to call it, quest or game. And I'll share my screen again to make it easier to follow, because otherwise it'll be just me talking. So here we go. And I'll share that. There's always a wonderful way of connecting, and I can do a little hand improv to possibly cut this out because this is a boring piece to watch. It doesn't want to open up. So that's a shame. So let me just paste and go one more time and see if anything happens here. Paste. Okay. Oh, wonderful technology. And sometimes you just have to be patient with things. So bringing in patience. Devotion is also just being okay with when things don't work out. And we'll have this beautiful switch cameras so you don't see me from the bottom. So around the guest and quest and game. Blank sheet of paper, give it a title. I always like to give it a title. So what is my quest? What is my quest? What is my game? My life purpose is I am the treasure hunter. As you can see, this is like a Indiana Jones hat, and I was very much influenced by Indiana Jones in my childhood. I loved Raiders of the Lost Ark, especially having seen Tutankhamun at one of our local museums, the exhibit, and all the mystery involved in that, and archaeology and going searching for treasures. Very fascinating to me. And at one point, I wanted to be an archaeologist. So I'm the treasure hunter that evokes connection to your aliveness and brings you closer to who you really are, what you do, and what you're here to create. So it's about igniting your soul. Just a small thing, right? So that is my quest. But that is, sorry, that's not my quest, that's my life purpose. And how do you translate that? So, this whole thing about being treasure hunter, there's this part of my be, do, create model that is very dear to me and that feels that it needs to come into existence. And then there's this whole practice around theory U, which has been a driving force. So it is about the soul of business. And with soul of business, it is still showing. I don't know what soul of business really is. I know that the question, and you've heard me say this, who is myself? And I'll repeat it maybe for who hasn't answered that yet. Who's myself? What is my work? And what am I here to create? And this exploration with you is going to inform what soul of business is. So soul of business is really to ignite your soul, and it is also to ignite the soul of your business, your body of work. If you're a solopreneur, if you're a leader, it's also your career. It is really, what do you do for your livelihood? And so livelihood is also livelihood. I hope I'm spelling this right. I always have a difficult time with video talking and writing at the same time. Not so good at multitasking there. So these are all my things, but I'm not sure what is my soul of business. So this is kind of what I wrote down so that I have it for later. And what I ask you to do is, what is my quest, my game, for you to write that as a title. And without knowing where you're going, we're doing a metacognitive drawing, which is going to inform our new way of thinking. A metacognitive drawing is similar to doodling. You just take your pen and move it across the paper. And you're not willing it from your brain of what your brain wants to draw, knowing what you're going to draw. But it's more of letting your hand inform and communicate with the paper of what wants to happen on this piece of paper, and just letting that happen. Maybe even breathing into it. And I need to breathe into it because, again, talking, showing, and letting it happen is like the absolute mastery. And I'm not quite sure where this is going. And the talking piece is kind of taking me out. So let me just connect with a piece of paper for a moment. What is soul of business? What is my quest? What is my game? So there's this beautiful movement, and I always find that it's flow. So my path is really to explore flow. This who's myself and what is my work, only the connection happens in flow. It doesn't come through pushing and old paradigms of I don't know, productivity, and I called my inner drill inspector. It is more of a flow, something that's evolving. And what happened was, I've got this space, and it reminds me of this amazing maze that they had at Westerbeek. And Westerbeek is where I did a leadership retreat, and it's really sacred ground. And that maze, walking the maze, is very meditative, but there's something magical, and it has something to do that it has a similar left and right brain structure. So there's something happening while you're walking that path. And it also reminded me of a scavenger hunt. So, scavenger hunt. Those are the symbols and the thoughts that came to my mind. And I'm not quite sure what to make of it yet. So I am just putting that down because this is what wanted to be heard and shared. And this is kind of part of my scavenger hunt. And then we had the maze. I just love my highlighters. So there's a desire for me to just kind of color these in, and it doesn't have to be beautiful. And whatever it takes, I find this almost like a meditative practice. And while I'm doing that, it reminds me also the importance of maze. So There's something around my rituals and maze that I would like to add. Flow and evolving livelihood. So go and journal what wants to appear from this, and then that'll inform you what is my quest and what is my game. And we're going to prototype on that. So come back with what is my game.